Jennifer. Jennifer Hawes. For over 8 years, Jennifer's refrigerated trucking company has donated over 250,000 meals and 300,000 snacks to the Community Food Project on the Saanich Peninsula. These items would typically have been thrown away due to minor packaging damage, but Jennifer has asked her customers to donate rather than dump to provide underprivileged families with nutritious food. Jennifer's company absorbs all of the transportation costs to ship these goods to local families, including the ferry fares from Vancouver. She also donates $1,000 of her personal income once a month to purchase any items that are hard to come by, such as cheese and quality meat produce. There has not been 1 month in 8 years that Cold Star Freight donations were not received by the Community Food Project. Jennifer is passionate about her community and her employees. Her company matches all employees' charitable donations dollar for dollar. Jennifer and the Community Food Project won the Ethics in Action Award in 2004. Jennifer and her husband Kelly have been the recipients of the Small Business Award in 2005 and the Business of the Year Award in 2009. Jennifer has also been featured in a book titled Keeping Good Employees on Board, which outlines her successful hiring and retention practices at Cold Star Freight. Jennifer is also a mentor of other women for the local Women's Enterprise Center, where she volunteers her time to work with them to choose their own and operate their own businesses. She has been chair of the board for the Saanich Neighborhood Place for 8 years and is currently working on a subcommittee that is dedicated to creating more quality childcare spots in the Greater Victoria region. Jennifer?
Okay, going third makes you a little sweaty. All right. Thank you, Marcel and Anna, for taking the heat first. That was awesome. Well, let me start by thanking the Minerva Foundation. It kind of seems as though I've hit my 15 minutes of fame. Not gonna lie, really enjoying it. I knew I had become famous when I got a phone call from Sirius Satellite Radio in New York asking me to go on Road Dog Radio. Big radio station, if you haven't heard about it. And so I was good, and I went on, and I was able to talk for a full hour about the transportation of food and my food donation program. It was very exciting. I even had people calling in. I got phone callers and everything. It was very good. But here's the thing, I did have a moment of guilt, because the people in Sirius Satellite actually heard of me through the article in the Vancouver Sun, which of course is very awesome because it was a great picture, thank you very much, and an awesome article. But when they contacted my husband Kelly and said, hey, would you like to place an ad in relation to this award, I kind of stepped up and said no. Not because I wasn't interested, but because the cost of the ad would buy a lot of cheese. And if you know anything about me, and the donation program I run, you know that I'm a bit obsessed about cheese. So thank you, Vancouver Sun, my apologies. Speaking of cheese, I do have to say while I'm standing up here that I get to thank publicly my wonderful husband, who, as the donation program has grown, I've dragged with me to buy cheese on numerous occasions, and he's loaded the car up and has never said one word of complaint, so thank you. And of course, also at table 23 are some of the most important people in my life. And I know regardless of what happens, good or bad, they love me and they have my back. So thank you. So how does a woman become an owner of a trucking company? Sorry, co-owner of a trucking company? You know, I know this may come as a shock, but I can emphatically state that never once as a child did I dream of becoming an owner of a refrigerated trucking company. I was going to be a teacher or an actress or a writer, and then, because it often does, life got in the way. And isn't it always interesting to look back and realized that perhaps it's all just worked out the way it was meant to. So, a tiny bit about me. I'm going to hopefully assume that maybe you perused the article in the Vancouver Sun. It does a great job of summarizing how my husband and I came to own Cold Star, so I'm not going to bore you and use up my few precious allotted moments to tell the story. Let me just sum up by saying that 12 years ago, almost to the day today, we were a lot younger and a lot more naive, and this was a fabulous thing, because had we known, had we any idea of what we were getting ourselves into, I am convinced that Cold Star would never have happened. Because by the time we figured that out, which funnily enough corresponded to the time that the money ran out but the bills kept coming in, we had adopted our motto, failure is not an option. And by the time I joined the company in a permanent paying position, Cold Star was 3 years old and still a fledgling. And I had been working at a not-for-profit as a family center coordinator, and there I had learned how to stretch dollars in ways that are completely unimaginable. Turns out this skill was advantageous to owning a trucking company. And one of the things I saw was good food being disposed of. Good food that was going to the dump rather than being donated. And I gathered together 8 local neighborhood houses, and I asked them if I could find a way to save that food, would you take delivery of it? And they said yes, and my community food project was born. The food that has been salvaged and consistently donated by awesome companies like ProOrganics has been put to exceptionally good use. And I'm proud to state, as you've heard, that tens of thousands of snacks and meals have been prepared with this food that has been donated. This is an exceptionally important part of Cold Star, not just the food program itself, but an ongoing commitment to do things differently. We really are committed to owning a different type of trucking company. Yes, we specialize in hauling refrigerated food, and we focus mainly on Vancouver and the Gulf Islands, but we know that we're highly visible. We're running 63-foot of Cold Star, running down the highway and on the ferries every day. I mean, me, my husband, and all of our staff are committed to being honest and upfront about what services we can provide. We work really hard at excelling at customer service, and I'm equally proud to report that we stay true to that vision most of the time. And when we don't, we know it, because it just doesn't feel right. We take the time to process and discuss our shortfalls, sometimes more often than others, and then we set about doing it right the next time. And we don't mind saying we're sorry if we make a mistake, because we're going to try harder the next time. We also try to treat our staff in a way that keeps them hanging their hat at our company for a long time. And while we hear this quite often, it might sound cliche, the company would be nothing without those people, so I thank them. This philosophy has become the backbone of our company, and with the input of all our employees, our tagline, "A respectful, passionate company," was born. I know, using passionate in regards to a trucking company. I know, what, were we crazy? Well, yeah, it probably is a risky choice of words given the industry, but after 12 years, I can honestly say that we do feel passionate about what we do, and in fact, more so now than ever. And so this brings me back full circle to me stating that I had never dreamed of owning a trucking company. I never dreamed it because I didn't know it existed. If I could be clear about one thing, especially to any woman struggling to find her way, is to just keep open to the possibilities. It doesn't have to be about starting a company or doing something huge. It's just simply about looking for opportunity. It's not necessarily about getting paid for what you feel passionate about, because while I think that's an awesome concept, I think that many of us, me included, just don't know or didn't know what that passion was. And I remember going to a conference with Kelly. Cold Star was about 5 years old. The course was all about finding your potential. And as we made our way through this workbook, one of the sections was to list all the things you felt passionate and strongly about. And my pen stopped. Because after I had written down my children's names, and I feel very passionate about my family, I couldn't figure out anything else I felt really strongly about. And I'm looking around the room, and everyone else is, including my husband, they're scribbling madly. And I'm sitting there with this pen, and I'm in a panic. And I moved into that place where most of us have had, which was, the more I thought, the less I could think. And I couldn't make the list. And I struggled with this idea that I was unfocused and passionless for years. Of course, this wasn't true. I just wasn't able to identify it in those terms. Therefore, in the spirit of the Minerva Foundation and all the work they do, I gratefully accept this award on behalf of all those women who haven't quite found their passion, but who will. Those that will start their own companies, perhaps in a male-dominated industry like trucking, chair foundations, run charities, volunteer, to all of those women who try to balance all the parts of their lives, which, in truth, we all know is practically impossible. I say, watch out for these women, because when they tap into that drive and determination, and they will, the world will be a better place for it. Thank you.